Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to Arkham Archives, your one, but not only Batwoman podcast. While I'm just dying to start talking about this week's episode and Cameron's directorial debut on the show, we have to kick this off with some introductions. So, if you're new here, my name is Ines and I'm your host for the week. Joining me, as always, are my beautiful, wonderful, talented fellow
Aw.
Arkhamites,
Wow.
Alice Obsessed, Anna, and Hamilfox Supremacist Fran. Hello, ladies. How are
Hello.
you doing?
Good, thank you.
Yeah,
Better than
good.
last week for sure, if you can tell by my voice. I
Yes.
have made a full recovery.
Hell yeah. So, what did you girls do this week?
Interesting. I was recovering from kind of illness, but I'm fine. Everything is fine. So I'm good.
Yeah, Ines, that question was a bit funny because both me and Anna were just stuck in the house for
Yeah.
the previous week. Yeah, I was also recovering from something. So yeah, not much. I just watched stuff and read stuff and watched the time go by.
Anything worth sharing in your watches and reads?
I finished the Younger Games, and then I watched the movie, and that was really cool to see the adaptation because I didn't remember much from it back when I watched it. And other than that, I watched Almost Done with the Crown, and that's cool. I really love that show. And I watched I don't know, I think most of our listeners are American, so they probably don't even know who she is, but I watched the Georgina documentary on Netflix.
Icon.
Of course.
But yeah, that's been what I've been watching. Sorry, I'm ranting. Anna, what did you watch?
Yeah, I watched Cheer. It's a docu-series on Netflix. It's about cheerleading, and this was season 2. And it's just so impressive, that series, because I don't know how it's not an Olympic sport. It's so hard and so impressive what they do. And this season really covered some incidents that happened, like one of the guys was accused of pedophilia and stuff like that. Like,
Oh,
yeah,
yikes.
really controversial. But I think they handled that really well, actually. They did a whole episode about it, and mostly they showed the reactions of their teammates, like, because it was their friend and they had no idea. So that was super interesting to watch, because obviously they're very conflicted. They had no idea he had that dark past and he did that.
Heavy.
And yeah, it was very heavy, but I think they handled it well, actually. And they didn't shy away from it, They actually did an episode to address that situation.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also watching a show that came out on December. It's called With Love, and it's from the same creator of One Day at a Time. So I always had
Aw.
that, yeah, on my list to watch,
Cute.
and it's fun. It's like a rom com in a series. It's just 5 episodes, and it's so diverse. Like, she's great with diversity. So you have like a gay couple. They're all Latinos. There's black people. It's great overall. I don't think there's like 2 white people in the whole show. So it's always great to see, and I just love what she does with her shows. So I will keep watching whatever she puts out with.
Yeah, it's very appropriate for this week because there's a One Day at a Time actress in the episode, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. And I mean, to top it all off, we watched Encanto this week.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I fell asleep, but I fall asleep with anything, so that's not
It's true.
a testament to the movie. I've fallen asleep watching Batwoman on a call with you guys too, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In my house, too.
If you don't know Fran, it's her special talent, to be honest. She falls asleep instantly with anything.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get back on track though. After all, with everything that's happened in this week's episode, it would be cruel to keep the people waiting any longer. It's me, I'm the people. This is the part where I thank everyone for tuning in week after week, for engaging with us on social media, and in some cases, for helping us out with the podcast. We've mentioned before that this is a little passion project of ours, so it truly means the world when we get to take part in and engage with the community that is Batwoman fandom. And these past couple weeks in particular have been really heartwarming, to put it mildly. On that note, if you want to chat with us or otherwise shoot us a message, you can find us on social media at Arkham_Archives. Without any further ado, let's get into this week's Broken Toys. In this week's episode, Ryan continues to juggle her family issues as Batwoman's identity is once again at risk of being exposed. Sophie and Luke get some bonding time after being paired up to go on a mission, while Alice gets into the head of a poison ivy-free Mary. Lastly, the team's efforts to get the Joy Buzzer to work lead Gotham's most villainous to unite against them. We've gotten into this habit of doing something off script for these recent episodes, so this week I asked both Fran and Anna to send me their immediate reaction after watching the episode, and well, this is what we got.
Oh my god. Hi, this is Anna. I just finished the episode. I mean, I have one more Wildmoore scene left, but I just had to record this voice clip because Ines has seen the episode and asked us to record our reaction. And holy shit, the scene with Alice asking for them to use the joy buzzer on her. How didn't we think about it? It makes perfect sense that she would want that. I guess I didn't consider it because she wasn't stuck with the joy buzzer in the first place, so why would that work? But from what they explained, if that can put your empathy side of your brain back on, it kind of makes perfect sense for Alice. I'm so proud of her that she wants to do this step. Oh my god, that's huge. Also, I was so scared when she said, "I'm not Alice." I was expecting, like, what? Is someone pretending to be Alice this whole time? But yeah, I wasn't expecting that plot twist. That's incredible. Finally, they're making some storyline that's going to be huge for Alice. And I love how Mary's so proud of her for doing this as well. And yay. Okay, I have to watch the Wildmoore scene. Be right back. Okay. Just watch the Wildmoore scene. I don't have a lot to say, just that I wasn't expecting that at all. I was expecting just a kiss and like the deep conversation. I'm sure we weren't expecting this as soon, but I really liked that it was spontaneous and yeah, babies. It's so cool. It's so cool that they show the sex scenes and all the sides to them, you know. Yeah, I love them. Waiting for more.
Okay, I've just finished it. And yeah, that happened. That sure did happen. Uh I really like yeah, no words. No thoughts, head empty. But I need the next episode like right now. And I also need them to keep this up because that cannot be the only sex scene that we get. Yes, we got something, but now I'm gonna be wanting it more and more, like again and again. So
Ladies, with the power of hindsight now, do you have anything else to say for yourselves?
Yeah. Nervous laugh.
yeah.
Come on, let it out.
I was speechless, so yeah, I have things to add. It's the podcast. That's what it is for.
I actually did 2 voice notes, as you saw, because we had the Mary and Alice scene, and I was like, oh my god, I'm sure what Ines asked is about Wildmoore, but I need to talk about this. So
Fair.
Yeah, nothing to add there. I'm just too excited to see what's gonna happen with this twist with Alice, and it was about time. And about Wildmoore, I'm still just like no words. I have nothing to add, I think, from what I said, to be honest. No, intelligent comment from me. Just very happy.
What about you, Frank?
Yeah, like it's the same thing as Anna. My comment, I think, was no thoughts at empty. But I think we're going to cover Wildmoore in the podcast. So, your questions allowed me to think a little bit more about everything. And I will not repeat myself. So I'll just, when you do get to that point, then I'll add to my audio from the immediate reaction. But this episode was for sure a good one for an immediate reaction, because those last 10 minutes, boy.
Literally.
Okay, before we begin to unpack all of that, though, we have to talk about cameras. I don't think I'm being biased in saying this was one of my favorite episodes of the season for more reasons than one, and I think a lot of that really is due to Cameron's input on the episode as its director. Personally, I loved pretty much everything about it. The pacing, the different dynamics, the Easter eggs, which of course I'll get into later, the visuals. So, what did you guys think about Broken Toys?
Oh, I think Cameras did a fantastic job, honestly. I thought it was a really intense episode with pretty high stakes. And, as we're used to in this season, everything was happening and all of it was important. So, wow, it was incredible, just all over the place, but in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
And besides the highlight that was Wildmoore, of course, there will be a topic later. I also really appreciated the development we got with Alice and Sophie and Luke being super useful to the team. And also Kiki was really fun. She was evil, but I really liked her guest appearance and just overall great episode.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was such a solid episode, but I had like a different perception from you. I thought, for me, it felt a little bit like a breather after the past two episodes. I don't know, I felt like it was used to further plot lines and start new ones, but you didn't have like major developments, and like despite the Wildmoore like finally getting their sex scene stuff. But other than that, I felt like it was a development episode and not so much like a big reveal and conclusions and climax episode. I think it was just before the climax, but it was really well done. I thought the pacing was great. The intertwining of all the characters worked really great. I saw like a couple of little stylistic choices with, for example, like transitions and how they had like a close up to the Batwing, the bat sign on his suit, and then cross over to Ryan in her suit and zoom out from her bat sign on her suit. So stuff like that was really clever, and it probably came from cameras experimenting and having fun with the job. It must be so cool to get to direct all your friends. And for sure you can tell like it was such a character driven episode. You can tell it's someone who has the characters in mind and really understands what they're all about. So
yeah. And you could see this episode gave voice to characters who maybe didn't get their spotlight, like Luke, Sophie, Alice, like getting their own role in the team. And I think we really missed that. And I think that only shows that Cameron really cares for all the characters, and he made sure that they all got their moments. And I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
It was really nice.
It felt very balanced.
Exactly.
One thing I think we all kept coming back to this week, especially since watching this episode, is how much we just love this show, the characters, the cast.
Yeah.
A recurring theme in our group chat has actually been us bringing up how we can't remember ever loving all main characters of a show quite the way we love everyone in Batwoman.
Yeah.
And I think that's a sentiment we all earnestly share.
I don't know.
I
obviously love all of the characters in Batwoman, but it's not true for me that I can't remember a show where I loved. Like, I was reading your questions and I instantly like thought of 2 or 4.
Jesus.
I can name drop them. No, for like the first one that came to mind was This Is Us, which has like an enormous cast. Neither of you watch it, but it has a lot of main characters and they're really good at making them all lovable. So that was the first one that came to mind. I also thought of Pose, which has like an ensemble cast that's really big as well, and I love all the characters. And The Office also, and Sense8. So like I thought of my favorites.
Oh.
And this is a good testament to Batwoman, because my thoughts were my favorites, like my top favorites, all-time favorite shows. Those were the ones that I loved every single character. So for Batwoman to be in the same level as those is like obviously a compliment to Batwoman. I don't want to take away anything from it. It's just, it's been really good company for me, I would say that.
Oh,
It's not every day that a show makes me love all the characters.
Yeah, I guess I just compared it to other CW/superhero shows that I watched that are in the same range. And I'm like with Arrow, I was always waiting for like Laurel scenes or Nisa scenes, like my favorite
Oliver
ones.
Queen who?
When Oliver was there, I was just like, okay, moving on.
Yeah. It sucks when it's the main character that you're like, ugh, boring.
It's always the main character.
Not Ryan Wilder, though.
Yeah,
not
exactly.
Ryan Wilder. I think it's safe to say, as we mentioned before in this commentary, that this episode has been the first one to ever show the whole Bat team, Alice included, because let's be real, she is a part of the team, fighting alongside one another towards a common goal. So how did that make you feel?
I was really, really satisfied with that. And I also love to see them being separated into two groups, actually, because it gave us a chance to see Sophie and Luke interacting and, talking about Ryan without her being there, which was fun. And I also love the other side, which is that we got Alice and Mary to talk one-on-one, like we wanted to the other time, the previous episode. So it's also really nice to see them use their strengths with everyone having, their special skills. And they're really using it to defeat a common evil. That was really cool to watch.
I thought Alice fits so well in the Bat team, because like she really does contribute really well, because she's a person who can think like the villains, so she actually is very useful in that sense. Obviously, I know she's a killer, but we all know these shows tend to like brush past that subject, because what's the fun in like regular boring justice? So I would love a future where Alice, sociopathic tendencies cured or otherwise, joins the Bat team for good. She at this point should have that immunity deal be respected, because she's helped catch so many villains this season. So at this point, like, I know she's done a lot of bad things, but if she has
who hasn't?
I mean, yeah,
so true.
If she has like a solid circle around her that can keep her in check, she should be allowed to be free and to help out. But I mean, I loved that part in the episode, like the big climax where they were all fighting together and helping one another. It was so satisfying. I want Alice to be a part of the Bat team so bad. She fits perfectly.
And on that note, I have to kick this off with Mary and Alice being back on the team. Now that she's out of her poison ivy craze, Mary's left to deal with the consequences of her villainous actions. And needless to say, she's going through a hard time.
Yeah.
She blames herself for revealing Batwoman's real identity to Marquis and for his escape in the previous episode. Also for wanting to hurt Luke and for healing that guy in the woods. So you got the gist of it. Throughout the episode, though, we have several characters trying to comfort Mary by telling her it was not her fault, that it was the infection speaking, but we all know that isn't true. Alice more than anyone else.
Yeah.
Are you ready to see Mary's journey through accepting all that she's done?
I thought their take on Mary's journey to acceptance was really interesting. Like, you had Ryan and Luke that were telling her that which was like the kind, compassionate thing to say. And I mean, they were not wrong. It's not false what they were telling her, but it's also not the complete truth. And so those kinds of conversations will feel fake to you when you don't believe in a single thing that is being said to you. Yeah. Like, I know, and it's cool that Ryan and Luke believe it, and it's really cool that they've forgiven her so quickly, because that will also help Mary in her recovery. But she's not there yet, so it's normal that even though they're telling her those things, she's not going to believe them. But yeah, I think for Mary to reach a stage where she understands that she's not the sole culprit of what happened it's gonna take a while. So for them to use this crazy, very mad villain in Kiki Roulette as the stand-in for what a possible therapist would tell Mary without actually, sitting her down in front of one, I thought was really clever, because personally I think it's very hard to get a scene with a therapist right on screen and even in books or whatever, because it's very hard not to make it feel like a stop in the action, especially in shows that are so action filled. So I thought this was a great alternative, because in the same breath you also had Kiki basically just ignoring her therapist's advice. So Mary basically saw firsthand what choosing not to heal will do to you.
Yeah.
So that also worked really well. And because Alice and Mary were on the mission together, Kiki also served as a plot device to further Alice's own storyline that had been hanging for so long. So I thought it was very clever and economical, without taking away from both Mary and Alice's inner experiences. You still got, their sharing, and you still got to see some insight into what they might be thinking and their reactions to what Kiki was saying. But it didn't put a stop to the action that in a way that doing it the regular realistic way would have done, having Mary see a therapist or having Alice see a therapist or whatnot. I thought it was very cool writing.
Yeah, I kind of suspected that Kiki would be evil, kind of, because I was just thinking, okay, this is very nice that she's just there to comfort Mary, It couldn't be the whole thing, so it was really smart that they used it for both things, to further the plot, but also to help the character development. So, yeah.
It might be even more effective to have her actually be evil and not take her therapist's advice, because then Mary can see what repressing stuff and not doing the healthy healing will get you, basically. So double effectiveness.
Yeah, I also wrote that for Mary it's complicated because yes, it technically was the infection doing it, but that doesn't excuse that she did kill someone. And like Alice said, burying it in layers and layers of denial and placing the blame somewhere else will not solve the problem at all. And like you were saying, she also gets firsthand what Alice is doing did to her, what could happen to Mary if she had the same treatment, if she had the same actions, not only that Kiki did, but also Alice. So she has the double consequences right in front of her. So I think that will be really important in her, finding the right way to heal.
Yeah.
Needless to say, Alice herself has some very unhealthy coping mechanisms, like you mentioned. Part of me honestly thinks she was a fly in the wall when Lena Luthor had her whole speech about little boxes and compartmentalizing your feelings in Supergirl. But anyhow, it's clear Alice has reached, a point where she wants to begin to repent for the things she's done in the past. And I have to say, though, her reaction to Mary, referring to her as a sociopath, quite frankly broke my heart.
Same. I already know I'm going to cry in the next one. But yeah, we'll get there. I'm just honestly kind of shocked at this storyline. But at the same time, I think it makes perfect sense. Because she has been so close with Mary. And now seeing her go back to normal and get some of that empathy back, I think it was a really wake-up call for Alice that she could also have that lost part of her back, and, seeing her friends accept her again, Mary. I think a part of Alice is like, oh yeah, I could have a bit of that maybe if I tried. And it's just really emotional to have Alice want that because, she's always a mystery. I love Alice, but she's always like, I don't know if she wants to be evil, if she wants to get better. I'm always very conflicted. So I think this is the first time ever that she said she wants to be Beth. And like Mary said, that's huge. Like, that's really, really huge for Alice. And I actually gasped out loud. I had to pause the episode for a second to process that information. And wow, yeah, I just can't get over how complex of a character she is because I never know what she's going to do. I think we're gonna talk about it later, if this is gonna work, if this is not gonna work, but I think the point is that she wants to do it, even if it doesn't work. It's huge that she wants to do this.
Yeah, I think her seeing the Bat Team's reaction to Mary and saying, it's not your fault, that's what she's been wanting to hear, I think. And it's crazy what a little bit of love will do to you, because she had just a little bit of love from Mary, like a pure, actual love, real love and understanding. And just that, and also seeing everyone's reaction to Mary, was enough for her to be like, okay, I don't have to be this person. There's other options.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a brilliant storyline for her. And I also, even though it makes sense, I don't think any of us actually expected her to go like, yeah, I'm done. I'm done
Not
being a
at all.
Absolutely
sociopath.
not.
So yeah, amazing.
I have a bit of a different take here. I think that Alice's reaction to Mary sort of pulling away from her is what really fucking broke me. Like, you have this character who finally found a sister she wanted, a partner in crime, and now, with Mary returning to normal, she feels like she's lost that she's lost Mary, essentially. And even though Mary offers to help Alice run away, Alice doesn't want to run away, not without her.
Yeah.
So my take is that if Mary won't be joining Alice in her villainous antics, then Alice will just have to join Mary in being a normal person. And I think that, that's really the biggest motivator for her, because I don't think Alice, despite having her fun moments with the Bat Team, I don't think that's what really moved her. I think really just seeing that you can change, and the prospect of losing Mary, the one person she's had after all this time, it's going to be the driving force for Alice to want to change, I think.
Yeah, I think that makes sense as well.
I think it's not that black and white. I think obviously she doesn't want to lose Mary, but at the same time, I feel like she wants to be someone that Mary cares for, and she knows that for that she needs to change a little bit. But just the fact that the love was there at all is what actually is motivating Alice to become a better person. Because, yeah, she wants to impress Mary, and she wants to be someone that Mary likes, I think.
I have to ask, though, with Alice wanting to be zapped by the joy buzzer, am I the only one who thinks that won't work?
No.
Like, personally, I have a feeling about it.
Yeah, I would be really surprised if it worked, because obviously she has never been zapped, so why would a zap back work, according to what they explained before? I think it will just destroy some neurons, and she doesn't have a lot left, so don't do that.
I don't know what you're
Alice.
talking about. She's brilliant.
Don't kill. My relationship with Alice is complex. I can insult her and love her at the same time. But I think the more important question is, will the Bat Team be there for Alice for once and at least try the possibility of getting Beth back? Or will it just say, she's crazy and use the zapper on Marcus? I'm more curious
With the
about
joy
this.
buzzer? I don't think so. I think they'll eventually be there for her, but I think in their heads, they have bigger fish to fry right now.
Yeah, and that's the sad thing. I don't think it's going to be if it works or not. It's just going to be them not choosing her once again.
It's a very interesting take that for Alice, I know it was a different Batwoman, and Ryan does not have she doesn't have that connection with Alice. But for Kate, it was always about locking Alice away. It was never about finding a cure. She did give her like a couple of chances or whatever, but that's not how you do it. Like, you need to actually try and get the person better, and that's not going to happen at Arkham, where she kept putting Alice. But then you have Ryan, who would be kind of a hypocrite to try and find a cure for Marcus, but not take that time to do that with Alice. But also, Marcus is her sibling and Alice isn't. So it's all very interesting because, as we mentioned before, we once again have a villain who is a sibling to Batwoman. And now that we're done with this plot, almost done with the Marcus plot, so to speak, we don't know still if the Joy Buzzer is going to work or whatever, but we do know that Ryan is working towards an actual cure without thinking about putting him away or locking him away. It's really cool to see the two paralleled, and the fact that Alice never got anyone to fight for a cure for her or fight for something more creative than just locking her away. And if the Bat Team was not gonna try and do that for her, hopefully Mary will put in a word and be like, hey, you guys have the resources, can you help me out? But who knows? But yeah, Marcus is Ryan's brother, but Alice doesn't have, that connection.
Yeah, I think it would be so nice to see Mary fighting for Alice for once, setting her foot down with the bad team and saying, we need to at least try this. I would love that storyline. And I hope we get some of that because Alice has been fighting for Mary, and it will be really cool to see it the other way around.
If they do want to try the joy buzzer and Mary is like, yeah, I'll get the joy buzzer for you, it'll be an interesting stand down. But I don't know if that's going to happen. I think they're going to come to the conclusion, like you mentioned, Anna, that getting the shock, the buzz, what would you call it?
The zap?
The zap. I think they will reach the conclusion that the zap is going to do worse than the alternative before they even try it. But yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting because Mary doesn't give a fuck about Marcus. So it's going to be like Ryan going, hey, I want it for my sibling. No, I want it for my sibling.
Yeah.
So who gets the authority here? I mean, Ryan is Batwoman, but she in the Bat team, she's not more important than Mary. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah,
it is.
It's going to be such an interesting storyline.
Yeah.
I have to bring this up here, but I mentioned in our previous episode that one of my wishes for the season is for Mary to reassure Alice that, despite everything, she's still her sister. And I think that will truly kick into gear after Alice attempts to use the joy buzzer and it doesn't work. I really believe that Mary will try to reassure Alice that she's there for her, ready to join her in the daily process that is becoming a better person if she so chooses to put in the work and embark on that journey with her. And I also think that, as you mentioned before, Roulette's testimony as someone who went through the process and still came out the same is part of the reason why Alice wants to zap herself, actually. Like, I think she's afraid and believes she's fundamentally broken, and that because of it, even if she works towards it, she won't be able to change. And I think that's where Mary will prove herself to be, a crucial part of Alice's recovery.
Interesting.
Anyhow, Alice's plethora of knowledge about one of this week's top villains led Ryan to deciding to team her up with Mary in this episode, as we mentioned, and I'm still a bit soft about that. I think it says a lot about not just how Ryan is currently looking at both Mary and Alice, but it also speaks volumes as to Alice and Mary's relationship. While Ryan doesn't entirely trust Mary to be on her own just yet, in a way, her conversation with Alice in last week's episode has led her to kind of see her as human, I feel. So it's like she definitely trusts Alice. And trusts that she has Mary's best interests at heart. And that's a lot more credit than she's given her in the past. So I guess that dealing with so many real villains this season has given Ryan some perspective. Maybe not,
I actually hadn't thought of the deeper meaning of Ryan trusting Alice enough to let her go with Mary before I read your question. In a way, it almost feels like she wants them to talk things out and make up, and she's invested in helping that happen for both Mary and Alice's well-being. Like, she's the initiator because she knows they might not have the important conversations if no one forces them to.
Including herself.
Yeah. It's true. Yeah. I feel like it shows a lot of development because past Ryan would not care at all about Alice's feelings and instead try and probably keep her as far away from Mary as possible. Possibly even blaming her for Mary's demise, I think. And that's a way that the writers could have gone in. But no, they're choosing to also show some of Ryan's development in terms of her relationship with Ryan. It's a very happy surprise because the other option would be the easier one. So, again, it just makes me want Alice to be a part of the Bat team even more.
Yeah, I was super surprised when Ryan told Alice to go with Mary because there was such character development. Ryan would never have done this a few episodes ago in the beginning. And like we said, I think Alice is just a great addition to the Bat team, mostly now because, Mary is kind of too fragile now to kill someone if she has to, if it's between her and the villain. And Alice will do that, like, if it's to protect Mary even more, she's gonna kill whoever it is. And I think, like we said, having the mind of a villain, but also the skills that Alice has is super important. So I think it's really nice that Ryan is trusting Alice not only with Mary, but also as a part of the bad team, because it would be kind of dumb to just waste what Alice can bring to the table and this bond that she has with Mary. So kudos to Ryan, really.
I think we were both expecting it to go the other way because she
Yeah.
said you're on your own in that episode. The previous episode, she was like, you're on your own when it came to like staying out of Arkham. So we all thought that she was gonna not care about Alice again. But yeah, I think instead we've had a more compassionate side from Ryan towards Alice, and also she just wants the best for Mary, and for her to think that that's Alice is a huge step.
Meanwhile, Luke and Sophie are on a mission of their own, trying to retrieve Luke's Batwing AI from the Wayne Tower. We've recently mentioned this relationship they got going on has been one of our highlights of season 3, and I feel this episode only added to that. So, how did you feel seeing Luke and Sophie mostly back in action and standing on their own? Was there a little back and forth about Wildmoore entertaining enough for you?
Yeah, it was. And I'm in love with their friendship duo, honestly. I think they fit so well together. It's also, like I said, so nice to see them using their strong points for once without having to rely on Ryan, because they both are also superheroes and not just sidekicks. And I love when they show us that. And from the banter perspective, that was also just fucking fantastic. My personal favorite moment was Luke saying, "So you're into Ryan when she was a wanted criminal, huh?" Like, so hilarious. That was amazing. And I think I just love that Luke is a candle boy, like we said. He's kind of in the middle of this relationship, just giving advice.
Professional candle holder.
Professional candle holder. Just great. Yeah, but I also, besides Luke giving advice, I also like that Sophie has that space to say whatever she's feeling to someone that's not Ryan. That was super important for her to just let it out, let it all out.
Yeah. Yeah, I love Luke and Sophie so much. I think their friendship works so well, and I think their personalities are also just very compatible.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But as always, I wish the conversation had been a little more reciprocate.
Yeah.
You want that Hamill Fox content?
That Hamill Fox.
Yeah, or even just, Luke is going through his own stuff. Newsflash.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but he also deflects.
I know, but I mean, come on. Sophie could have, asked.
She could have. Homegirl is so busy thirsting.
True.
She doesn't
It is
even,
a lot.
Look who.
Ryan is a lot. But come on. Luke should be allowed to express some things that he's got going on inside too. I know he deflects and all that.
Yeah.
But if we have Sophie literally talking to someone else about her attraction to another woman, which has not been easy for her in the past, Luke should also have that development. And his journey with mental health in this season was done almost entirely on his own. And if you think about it, after his outburst in the cabin, which has only been mentioned in passing, it feels sort of a wasted opportunity if Sophie and Luke are having a heart-to-heart, for her not to also try to get Luke to open up and be like, so what's going on with you? How are things going after that outburst that you had? Because she was literally there.
That's very true. Yeah.
I don't want him to be that side character and friend who's only there to listen. And, works as a device for the audience to get insight into what the character is feeling. So whatever Sophie or Mary or Ryan is feeling. All we get is Luke talking to a talking head. And what more? Like, come on. Obviously, I think they're very cute. They're very cute together. I love their friendship. Love the handshakes, blah, blah, blah. But, if they're having this conversation and Luke is actually interested in Sophie's feelings and wants to know more, I wish it had been mutual.
Yeah, I agree.
I have to say, though, I actually find it endearing that Luke has his father back, even though it's a talking head, like you mentioned. But most of all, I like that he, realized that he doesn't need him or his suit even to be a hero. I think that was, despite the lonely process, I think it was good shit on Luke's end as far as story-wise goes. And as far as Sophie goes, it's always a good day to see her kick ass, and we know this.
Exactly.
I feel like the people needed to be reminded that Sophie's a lot more than, as Marquis put it, a side piece to Ryan.
Yeah.
And on that note, I am once again asking for Commissioner Moore. I know I sound like a broken record by now, but imagine the possible tension between Wildmoore of having Sophie return to being a part of the system. I just want to see it, but
She could help so much. Like, why are they
she
not using it?
could.
Like, you
She
know she's
could.
capable of kicking ass, but also helping from the inside. So just do it, you know?
Exactly.
And she's obviously frustrated. She mentioned a lot in this episode that she makes her own decisions and she has her own agency, and that she's tired of Ryan being like, no, you stand this one out. She obviously, she has her own mind and she has her own thoughts and wants and needs.
It's funny that Luke, has been acting clueless all this time, like he doesn't want to be in the middle of the drama, when in reality he knows and wants to know all the tea. Plus, let's be honest, he loves to stir the pot. Like, he didn't have to be all, when Sophie did the good landing, he didn't have to be all, oh, if Ryan was here to see it. Like, come on.
My boy.
You love to poke.
Yeah, it's definitely poking.
Speaking of Wildmoore, no thoughts had empty. By the time we're recording, it's been almost 3 days since we got that scene, and my mind is still buzzing. Y'all doing well? Because I'm not.
I'm doing wonderfully. That was just what the doctor ordered for me. Like, very good. Absolutely. I want 100 more scenes like that. That was perfect.
Yeah, I don't have more comments than that. It was just perfect, and I wasn't expecting it, but it was just right, Just perfect. Just, they know what the fans want, and they give it, and it's amazing, really.
Has someone called Jordan yet to let her know about the news?
Yes, I hope Sophie did. I hope she called her after she kissed Ryan. I hope they keep in touch and she tells her those things.
Writers, if you're listening to this, on the off chance you are, bring back Jordan Moore. We are asking, we are pleading. Please do it.
She's so cool.
And I would love to see Sophie's mom again, actually. Just to get that wrap up.
Shove it in her face.
After she had such a growth in her relationship with her sexuality, it would be great to rehash that and bring back her mom.
Mm-hmm. We could have a cool development with her and her mom.
A Sophie-centered episode.
Yes.
Yeah.
We need it.
Okay, getting back on track. I honestly cannot remember ever seeing such a fun, wholesome, yet extremely sexy sex scene being played out between two women on screen, let alone on the CW of all places. I feel like it was a nice culmination and most of all, a really nice release from all the tension that had been building up between the two for the past, ever, but especially the past couple episodes. I absolutely loved that Ryan specifically went from deflecting Sophie's feelings every chance she got to doing what Jada wasn't able to do with her and just let down her walls and allow herself to love and be loved.
Yeah, same. I loved the direction that they took the sex scene in. And I wonder if the mishaps and the awkward bits, like the lamp and the belt bit, if they were scripted or if they were ideas that cameras had on the day. Yeah. Because it's not all too often that details like that get included in screenplays. But anyways, whoever decided to make it like that, thank you, because I am a sucker for realistic sex scenes like this. I've always found that, and TMI, moments where you laugh during sex can be the most romantic moments of all. So I love the scene, and I love the direction that they are taking Wildmoore in. They're both passionate but friendly, and they're fiery but tender, and I love those opposites, and they look and act very in love. So I'm excited to see what's coming up for them. And yeah, very proud of Ryan for taking that step. I've said this before. But if there's one person that you can really trust to not drop your heart and break it, it's Sophie Moore. So, especially now
So
that she's
true.
comfortable with her sexuality. I think there's so many good things coming up for them. I really hope the writers don't drop the ball because they really have a future ahead of them.
I think you never know what the cast is feeling, filming those scenes, but I think you can tell when the cast is not completely comfortable filming those things. At least I get very uncomfortable with very sex scenes on TV. I think here the playful side just was better to make us understand that they were really comfortable. Obviously the characters, but I think even the cast was just so happy to do it. And like I said, you never know, but I think the direction that they took made it feel really comfortable. And I also just love the silly side. I think that was a great directing choice. And about Ryan, I'm just extremely proud of her, for getting those walls down. And she's just so happy. And I don't have a lot of comments. I loved it. And I hope we get more.
I also found it really funny that we got confirmation that Sophie's been into Ryan long before Ryan became Batwoman.
Yes.
Yes.
Perhaps she's a bit problematic for it, given the whole power imbalance they had going on when Sophie was in the Crows arresting Ryan. But I genuinely don't give a fuck.
Same.
I just don't. I'm not gonna lie. I don't give a fuck.
I don't judge. Same.
Also, of course, Sophie's a top. Like, of course. But I won't be the one to call Ryan a bottom, and I will take no criticism on that either.
I mean, she was going to top. She just had technical problems, and Sophie just took over. So I think that's right.
Ryan's a verse in my head.
I think they both are. Like, just let them mix it up. It's boring if you keep it just the same way the whole time.
Yeah.
True.
But no, I literally screamed when Sophie, like, when she kept quiet, when Luke was like, wait, you liked her before?
That was the best.
That's crazy. And honestly, I don't think that's problematic because she didn't act on it.
Yeah.
True.
And I mean, sometimes it's just pheromones, baby. Like, you see that girl and she talks and you're like, oh my god, she's hot. And that's what it is.
Let's
like,
be real.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't fall in love with Ryan Wilder?
Exactly.
So true.
So I'm not about to call Sophie problematic for it. Like, she did good. She didn't act on it. She kept her position. Blah blah blah. But it's very funny and very cute, and I love that she's liked Ryan for that long. I love it.
But enough with the funny business, or at least that type of funny business. Now that he's no longer a raisin, Marquis is back on his I'm not crazy, everyone else is bullshit. In this episode, he decides to aid in funding the Arkham Asylum in order to be able to use the criminals in there to his benefit, which, of course, very anti-woke of him, even if he does make some good points about the conditions at Arkham. I mean, seriously, how is that place still open?
So true.
It's been said over and over again in this podcast, but I'm loving Nick's take on Marquis as the Joker. And I'll admit he was honestly bone-chilling in some instances during this episode. So I guess my question here is, do you have a standout Marquis moment for Broken Toys?
First of all, you calling him a raisin was a standout moment for my entire week, That's amazing. But no, I love to hate Marcus, He's so great at playing the villain. As for my favorite, I love the scene at Arkham because, he does have a point. And I like how the writers are, maybe not so subtly, addressing the bad conditions for mental health patients.
Yeah.
And, while last season it was police brutality towards Black people, I think they always just tackle some really important moments and they use their villains to do it. And I always appreciate when they do that. I also love the moment where he finds Luke and Sophie because he had cool dialogue, I just laughed.
Yep.
Yeah, that was my pick. Yeah, the phone call with Ryan was my pick.
Oh, that as well, yeah.
When he calls her and the way he acts for Sophie is so yuck, but Nick does it so well.
Yeah, calling her a side piece was kind of gross, but kind of funny as well.
But also the kiss, the air kiss that he sends her.
Oh,
is
yeah.
gross.
Yeah.
But, like, that's what his character is supposed to be. But yeah, I thought the conversation that Marcus had with the Arkham director was really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
You know, both him and that Kiki lady, they made a lot of points in their scenes, regardless of them both being criminally insane. Yeah, like you said, I think Batwoman does a good job at showing us it's never all black and white. And also, yeah, fucking burn Arkham down.
Honestly.
It's okay. We can rename the podcast. We'll find another name. But that place needs to fucking disappear.
The archives survived. It's just the place went boom, but the archives survived.
But since you brought up Kiki and Marquis, I was actually kind of surprised to see her working with him, even though in hindsight I shouldn't have been. I could say that that's a match made in heaven, but given their track record, I think it'd be more appropriate to call it a match made in hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna do a slight sidetrack to say she was on One Day at a Time, like we said. It's my favorite show for anyone that doesn't know. And she played a lovely gay lady in One Day at a Time, and it just made me miss her so much. She was basically the best friend of Penelope, that she's the main character. Completely different from this character, but just the actress is amazing, and it made me miss her. And about Kiki, I didn't see it coming, but I should have, you know. At the middle of the episode, like I said, I was thinking, she's being too nice. This doesn't end like this. And when there's a reveal that she's working for Marcus or with Marcus, it just makes perfect sense. And then she starts laughing like him. That was funny.
I agree. I thought she was such a fun character, and the plot twists worked really well. And the evil laughter, I think, is my favorite evil laughter on the show yet.
Yes.
It was so funny. And yeah, also I just loved getting insight into those old Batman villains. I think it helps build the universe and show that there's a lot of history before what we are witnessing at the moment of the season and of the show. And it's great. And the Joker workshop or lair or whatever was awesome to see. I love those tidbits and callbacks to a past that we haven't seen, but is there and is responsible for a lot of things that. And this season has been all about that with the gallery of rogues. And yeah, I love it. I think it works really well every time.
We also saw the return of Victor Zazz, a villain who's already known to us and our Batwoman. You know, very fitting that we see our lesbian drama-loving assassin come back for a lesbian drama-packed episode.
Like, not all of Batwoman's episodes are lesbian drama-packed.
Very fair.
Some more than others, come
Good
on.
Point.
There's a scale.
This was up there.
But he's just really funny. I always enjoy when he shows up on the show.
Yeah, it's very cute that he remembered Ryan.
Yeah.
He was like, oh, you.
I was actually excited when Marcus recruited him, because I thought we were going to have like a villain team up and they would bring others, like Magpie or whatever. And we were so convinced that it would happen, that we'd get like a Suicide Squad type of thing with Marcus and Mary and Alice and Pam. But we never got that. And for a second there, I thought that he was going to go like, and we'd have cameos from all these villains that we've seen throughout Batwoman. And that would be the mini Suicide Squad. And it would last like a couple of episodes, but I think it got away from me. Like, I was already dreaming way too high after they met at Arkham. But it was still fun. But I thought it was going to be more. And we would get to see like either the vampire lady or like, you know, these old villains from old episodes. And they would be like tormenting Batwoman until the end of the season.
Yeah, if only we had 20 episodes per season again.
Yeah. Honestly, though, like, bring back longer seasons. What the fuck is this 13 episode bullshit?
Literally.
Yeah, I would sign that petition right away.
Literally. And also renew Batwoman.
I'm not gonna say it this time.
Ines, put the dings. Don't forget the dings.
Just edit like
Ines.
3 more dings.
So many dings.
Speaking of drama, there's enough of that going around between Ryan and Jada. Victor puts the two of them in an awkward position at Marquis's request, holding them hostage while waiting for Batwoman to appear. The threat of imminent death leads Jada to confess to Ryan that the money she'd given the doctor wasn't meant for him, but rather to ensure that Ryan would have a good life, even though we all know how that turned out.
Mm-hmm.
Still, my heart couldn't help but ache for the both of them. For Jada on the one hand, because, she thought her daughter was being well taken care of and, later found out the devastating truth. And for Ryan, who had to literally fight for her life in the foster system.
Yeah.
So, with all of that, what did you think of Robin and Javicia's performances during these scenes?
Oh, the performances were great. I like them, but I kind of have a really different opinion from you about Jada because honestly, I don't really care for Jada or her speech. I was kind of mad at her. I mean, you gave Ryan $2 million to make sure your daughter is going to live a good life. You even name her after your own father, but you can't check to make sure she's safe all those years. It's like she cares a
Yeah.
lot, but she just gives the money. It's like, oh, bye. And I don't know, it sounds very fake, and that she just didn't care for her enough to check on her all those years. Like, that's what Ryan literally says to her. But I do feel bad for Ryan, though. But I hate when Jada says, well, I took care of Marcus, and look how that turned out. She's just saying she's a bad mom. Like, either way, if she had Ryan or not, I don't know. I can't feel bad for her. I think she had a lot of money and she just wanted the problem to be solved like that. And she kind of made a pity party for her here when the person who suffered the most was Ryan.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't feel that bad for her. I don't know if I was supposed to, or if it was to do with the acting that I didn't connect with. I don't know. Or if I needed more from her to trust her. I don't know.
I feel the same way as you, actually.
Okay.
I especially had issues with when Jada was saying that her giving Ryan up was maybe the best thing she could have done.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I know she kind of took that back in the final scene, but I don't know, it just felt like a cop-out. Because, like, just because Ryan turned out well does not take away any of the guilt that she should be feeling for giving her away. It's like she's trying to convince herself that what she did isn't so bad because Ryan is a successful businesswoman and is Batwoman and is a really good person. Like, no, that's not how it works. You still have to feel guilty. And also the other thing that she parallels it with, which is Marcus, is kind of dumb because we've established that she isn't the reason Marcus is the way he is. It's pretty much, it was the joy buzzer that did that to him. As much as she could have been a better mom and maybe done things differently, him being the way he is not essentially down to her. Therefore, her giving Ryan away didn't exactly save Ryan from a bad mother. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I am with you, Anna. I still can't form a solid opinion on Jada. I've been back and forth so many times this season. One episode she will do something that I respect, and the other one she'll be getting on my nerves. Yeah, it's not. I haven't connected.
Yeah, I agree. I think she just needed Jada to try harder, Even if you're not there for her, at least check that she's having a good life. And I don't think any of this excuses what she did. And, even if she wasn't going to be the mom that Ryan needed and be there for her, at least try harder, to make sure your daughter that you gave away is good. And, maybe there is a sentimental thing that she didn't want to check because she wanted to put that aside from her mind, but that's kind of selfish as well because she just wanted to forget about Ryan, basically.
Yeah, I haven't figured out what the writers want us to feel about Jada.
Yeah.
What is their end goal?
I agree with you in the way that I feel like, this is not something that's forgivable, but I do think that Jada feels guilty about it. I feel that she didn't check up on Ryan because, like she said, it's easier to put up walls. And I'm not, denying that she took a somewhat, I don't want to say easy route because it's not easy to give your child away, That's not what I'm trying to imply here. But I feel like no one came out winning in this situation, And that's what I was trying to say. Like, it sucked for her. Of course, Ryan, had a terrible life because of it. No one's taking that away in any capacity, but it's clearly something that Jada didn't want to do and had to do for whatever reason that we have yet to find out. While you might disagree, I find some solace in knowing now that Jada really was trying to keep Ryan safe and protect her from Marquis, at least in the present time. And I find it interesting how, in this scenario, she's damned for staying when it comes to Marquis and also damned for leaving where Ryan is concerned. Even though I do agree with you, friend, that she's not the one to blame for what happened to Marquis. Like, sure, she could have handled the situation differently, but at the end of the day, the joy buzzer is what did it. It still
Yeah.
broke my heart to like hear her say that maybe the greatest thing she ever did for Ryan was staying out of her life, especially knowing how much Ryan really has longed for a mother. Like, I don't know, it just speaks a lot to the mindset that she fucked up Ryan in a way because she wasn't there, but then Marquis was also fucked up despite her being there. And I don't know, I just feel kind of a helplessness coming from the character, and I guess I sympathize with that.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't work for me. That line is
Yeah.
what made me go like, no, Jada.
Same.
No, you can't do that. You can't go like, maybe me staying away from your life is the best thing that could have happened to you. No. That is
Yeah.
just her dodging the guilt that she feels, and that's not how it works. She
Yeah,
has
I
to be
mean-
like, no, even if I did give you away, I should have assured that you
Mhm.
were safe and you were happy. And then she could have said, then I would know that giving you away was the best thing that I could ever have done to you. But knowing what happened to Ryan, knowing the hardships that she had to go through, knowing that she was in an abusive shelter and all of those things, and saying that, no, that
yeah,
doesn't work
no,
for
I
me.
do agree with you on that. Like, what I'm trying to say is I understand how she feels that way, and I guess we are a lot more empathetic with Ryan than we are with Jada, and there is a reason for that,
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah.
But not to both sides the situation, but I do understand why she feels the way that she does. And I think it sucks as a mother to have this feeling that you would have still fucked up the job if you were there. So that's really just what I'm empathizing with her on. Not saying that I'm agreeing with what she did or that, even the whole line, like you said, it's very kind of dodgy. Uh, but yeah, I see where she's coming from. People aren't
Mhm.
perfect. She most certainly isn't. And yeah.
Yeah, for me, that line would have worked more if there was a scenario that she tried, she kept Ryan for a while, or she checked and she didn't do anything further, and then she would say like, I've tried, now I'm glad I'm out of your life, because that wouldn't have worked, because at least that said that she tried. And what annoys me is that when she says the greatest thing I ever did was staying out of your life, is again kind of selfish. Like, yeah, I saved myself the trouble of checking on you, and that must have sucked so much for Ryan. I can, like you said, I feel more for Ryan because I know her character more. So I just keep thinking, yeah, she suffered more than you because you were the one who gave her away.
I think ultimately it wasn't that important of a line, and we might be giving it too much importance. But also, I feel like it's a line that is very used in these types of storylines with giving kids away. So I was like, oh, you were so much happier without me. But in this case, it doesn't work because Ryan had such a shitty childhood. That I think that's what bugs me, because if she had like a very happy, stable home, even when they say that, you're like, okay, whatever, but I guess you're right. In this case, not even, because yes, Ryan turned out amazing, but that's only because she's amazing. And but her life sucked, and she had a lot of hardships, and she went through a lot of pain. She was literally in jail. And for Jada to be, oh, it's a good thing I stayed out of your life. No.
With all of that, Jada now knows about Ryan's identity as Batwoman, and I'm still not sure how I feel about everyone and their mother, like literally, knowing about Batwoman's identity. So do you think this season will culminate with Ryan being exposed, or is it too soon for that?
I think that would be an interesting scenario. And if Marquez is out of the picture, I guess if everyone knew, she could claim Wayne Enterprises back, and that might be interesting because, there's always going to be villains going after her loved ones if they know who she is. But I guess if Marquez is out, her biggest threat is not there. So for now, it would be okay. I'm not sure, actually. I don't think I ever watched a show where everyone knows the identity of the superhero, so I'm not sure where they would go with that. But I think it would be an interesting story and unlike anything that has ever been done, to be honest.
Some superheroes that come to mind that people know their identities would be Iron Man and
Yeah, Marvel.
Captain America.
Oh yeah.
They have some superheroes that people know, but for Batwoman, I would think it would feel a bit anticlimactic to me because I mean I don't know, I hadn't thought about what you said, Anna, because people close to her would be in danger. I guess that would be the main thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they already are.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know how much would actually change, but I did love what Ryan told Marcus when she said that if he revealed who she was, the whole world would know that she turned out the way that she did, and she's a hero with nothing, and he turned out the way that he is with everything. Yeah. So that was a sick burn. I love that, and the way that she shut him up was sexy.
All in all, though, I think we can all agree that this was a great directorial debut for Kramers.
Yeah.
That and the fact that the next episode looks absolute fire.
Oh yeah, I'm so excited for the next episode with Alice. Like, yes, if it's not an Alex-centric episode, I've put my hopes up for nothing. But the promo is just Alice, basically, so I'm excited.
Yeah.
Well, that leaves me with just a few Easter eggs to share with you all, but before I do just that, did you personally catch any?
Just a Harley Quinn one for me.
Same.
The Kiki mention.
Yeah, same. But something that I did think was interesting was that supposedly Kiki got therapy after her work with Joker, so this would imply that he had been killed or put away by Batman by then, which would in turn imply that Arlene was still the same version of herself, which means that the Joker never got into her brain in the CTV.
Not really, because she did say that, when she mentioned, but my therapist was Harleen Quinzel, so, she's kind of implying that she was, a little cuckoo bananas.
Okay, she was already Harley Quinn by then.
Yeah, the one.
But she was still doing therapy.
Fair.
Even though I'm not the biggest fan of the Joker, as we all know, and I'm not too deep into the whole lore for the character, I did notice a couple of nods to past interpretations of the infamous Batman villain. One thing that really stood out for me, though, other than the bank gun that Alice tries to use, was the bloodied crowbar that can be seen in the lair towards the end of the episode. If I'm not mistaken...
I was going to ask you about that. They had such a focused shot of that crowbar. So I was like, what does this mean? Because I didn't catch the reference.
If I'm not mistaken, I think it's a nod to the Joker torturing and killing Jason Todd, who was one of the Robins, specifically in Batman's A Death in the Family, which is a comic book I haven't read personally, but it's definitely one that I've heard about. It's very popular, even, the epic rap battles of history that I watch from time to time mentioned it. So I think that was a really nice touch and kind of confirmed that Robin is dead in this universe. So additionally, as you girls have mentioned, we finally got a confirmation that Harley Quinn is a thing in this universe. And I personally had no doubts about it, but boy, does it feel good to hear it.
Yeah.
We see her, besides, getting her name dropped in the show, we see her mallet in the lair at some point, which would later be replaced by the bats that we saw in a previous episode being used by Renee at the Wayne Tower. So I think that was, a cool touch. Either way, though, Dr. Harleen Quinzel is a thing in the DC TV universe, and I'm constantly mind-blown that DC and Warner Brothers allow Batwoman to just name-drop and hint at such pivotal characters in the universe in such capacity. it's insane that they allow them to do that. And the writers themselves are always like, we don't know how they allowed us to do that. So I'm very much appreciative of that. And who knows, maybe we'll get a Margot Robbie cameo in Batwoman in the future. One can dream.
DC's big brain knows that Batwoman is an amazing TV show and deserves
So true.
to have all the rights to do everything that they want.
If they got
So
Margot, it would explode in views. Like, please do it.
It's not gonna happen, but how fun would it be?
Yeah.
I need Batwoman to blow up so bad.
Same. I
Same.
just
Like
want
enough.
a new season confirmed. I hate being an underdog and being like, come on, what if it doesn't happen?
Honestly,
such a
like,
good
I'm
show.
stressed.
I'm stressed. Can the CW just announce it already?
And it's
Seriously.
annoying because I feel like Arrow and The Flash have had such clout. And with Batwoman, it's like no one even knows the show exists. And it's very annoying because it's so good.
Literally.
It's so good.
Not to quote Twitter, but those who get it, and those who don't, is what I have to say about Batwoman. So if you're not here already, like, what's wrong with you? It's not
Literally.
anything with the show, it's just you.
Yeah.
Especially if you're a fan of these kinds of shows. What are you doing?
Exactly. Like, get a grip.
I love that
Anyway.
Grow
all,
a pair.
all the reactors I watched that watch Batwoman are always saying, yeah, this is the best Arrowverse, like, superhero show I watch right now. And I'm like, yes, like, everyone agrees, so why isn't everyone watching it already?
Literally.
Sucks to suck. Well, I guess that's it for this week's episode of Arkham Archives. Once again, thank you for joining us in yet another stream of barely coherent thoughts.
Yeah,
hope
this
you
week was a bad one.
This week was long.
I'm gonna have fun editing this.
It was an especially incoherent stream
Yeah.
of thoughts.
Good luck in it.
Thank you. We hope you were at least half as entertained as we were recording this, so make sure to follow us on social media at Arkham_Archives. That's Arkham_Archives. Since we'll be sharing some fun extra content during the hiatus, and don't forget to stream Batwoman on the CW app or in whatever other legal avenue you have at hand. I should remind you, we're also available on YouTube at Arkham Archives Podcast, so feel free to drop us a comment either there or on your podcast app of choice. We wish you all the best through this hiatus, and hopefully by the next time we talk, we'll have a confirmation on Batwoman's 4th season. Until then,
Hashtag
though,
renew Batwoman.
Hashtag renew Batwoman.
Hashtag renew Batwoman.
I'm sorry to make this episode even longer, but Anna, are you gonna handle the wait? I'm worried for you.
Yeah. 2 weeks. And, like, finally there's an Alice episode and I have to wait 2 weeks. Like, it's just unfair. But I'm hosting, so I'm gonna have a lot to say.
Oh,
and a lot of fun. Yes.
That's perfect.
Perfect.
Yeah, Fra, and we're hoping that for the last episode you'll be hosting, there'll be some Hamill Fox action.
Imagine
Yeah,
that.
you need it. It will be
Imagine
perfect
that.
arrangement.
Until then, though, guys, take care. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.